Hi, I'm Michael from Kitchinsider. Welcome to the channel. If you're looking to really optimize your kitchen layout and workflow, then you should consider designing with kitchen zones. So I'm sure you've probably heard about the work triangle when it comes to designing a kitchen layout, and that's still a good principle and logical aid when thinking about your kitchen design. However, it can feel a little restrictive for a lot of kitchens when maybe there's more than the three areas in the triangle. So a concept that I like to use more is designing with kitchen zones. So first things first, what am I on about? What are kitchen zones? Kitchen zones are designated areas within your kitchen space, each dedicated to a specific task, function, or activity. The idea is to arrange the kitchen layout in a way that makes it efficient and convenient to perform each task, by having all the necessary space, tools, and appliances close at hand within each specific zone. By dividing your kitchen into these zones, you can create a more efficient workflow and help keep everything organized, easy to find, and easy to work in. And another sort of bonus reason why I like kitchen zones is that even if you're not redoing your kitchen, there's a good chance you can still optimize your current kitchen just by thinking about these zones and reorganizing how and where you store things and work in your kitchen. This all sounds great, but how do you design your kitchen using kitchen zones? So there are typically 5 main kitchen zones, although you can have as many as you like, and you might have some additional zones tailored specifically to you, which I'll talk about more later. But the 5 main zones are consumables, non-consumables, cleaning, preparation, and cooking. The aim and point of designing with kitchen zones is to think about each zone and plan where that zone will be in your kitchen layout, where it will be in relation to other zones, and how you can plan in the elements and supporting items that each zone needs. So if we look at those 5 main zones quickly, consumables. This area is designated for storing food items like groceries, refrigerated goods, and pantry items. Ideally, this zone should be near the preparation zone for easy access, but it doesn't need to be in the heart of the kitchen. As it's your fridge and other storage cabinets, it's often best to keep this area to the edge of your kitchen or end of cabinet runs, so other people in the house can grab a snack or drink and not need to walk through the main kitchen area and interrupt if someone's in there cooking. Cleaning. A pretty easy one here. As the name implies, this is the area designated for cleaning, typically hosting the sink, dishwasher, and bins, and storing cleaning supplies. When planning this zone, think about your particular workflow, which side of the sink the dishwasher is, where exactly the bin is located nearby, but ideally we want to keep these bits together. Also, try to get a good amount of counter space on either side of the sink if you can, to place those dirty dishes or clean dishes that then need to be hand dried and put away. Preparation. This is the primary workspace in the kitchen. This is where you'll do most of the chopping, mixing, and other meal preparation. Ideally, it should have a generous counter space and be situated between the consumable zones and the cooking zone. It should also include storage for cutting boards, knives, mixing bowls, and other prep tools all nearby. Depending on the size of your kitchen, this is also where some people like to have an additional, smaller prep sink nearby. Or if not, maybe the sink is behind you or just not too far away, just not the complete opposite side of the room. Cooking. This will be focused around your stove, range cooker, hob, or cooktop, whatever you want to call it. And oftentimes your oven if you can, although personally I don't get too hung up on if you have separate wall ovens to the side a little bit. I think that's fine. It's more your active cooking zone I'm talking about here, which is typically your cooktop. Try to keep cooking utensils, pots, pans, and spices nearby for easy access while cooking. Some nice wide drawers underneath or nearby is perfect for this. Also, think about safety, so ensure there's enough space to handle hot items, enough counter space around you, and ideally an area of clear counter space near your ovens if they are to the side in a tall cabinet or something. We're thinking about landing zones here. And you also need to consider ventilation. Oftentimes the best spot for your cooking zone is on an outside wall, as that's the perfect spot for a cooker hood. If that's not possible, there are lots of other appliances and options on the market, but this can all factor into your appliance considerations and overall layout. Non-consumables. This zone is dedicated to storing items that aren't consumed, like dishes, glassware, silverware, and general cookware. Ideally, items in this zone should be organized near the point of use. For instance, pots and pans should be stored near the stove, and will probably form part of the cooking zone really, while plates, glasses and cutlery could be a little bit outside the cooking area, but maybe near or opposite the dishwasher for ease of unloading into cabinets once they're clean. Additionally, consider the amount and types of items you have. This will determine the kind of storage, cabinets, drawers, open shelving, whatever it is that you need. So that's the 5 main zones I like to think about when designing a kitchen. And these zones will work and look slightly different for different clients and different spaces. It's all about what will work best for you in your particular space. Additional kitchen zones. While the 5 main kitchen zones are a great starting point and ideal for most kitchens, there are multiple additional or bonus zones you might want to consider based on your specific needs and lifestyle. A couple that I come across quite a lot are the tea or coffee zone. One of my personal favourite zones, as I'm British. If you're a tea or coffee lover, creating a dedicated zone for your hot beverages can be a great addition to your kitchen. This could include room for your kettle or coffee maker, mugs and storage for tea and coffee, and any related items, sugar, sweeteners, whatever it is, and the whole thing not too far away from your sink for access to water. Social zone. This zone typically consists of a seating area, such as a breakfast bar or a kitchen island with stools. This zone could be close to the preparation and maybe cooking zones, but outside of those zones and not overlapping, which I'll get to in a minute, allowing you to easily interact with your guests while preparing or cooking food. Think about how many people you would ideally like to cater this zone for and the amount of space needed to do that. And some other additional bonus zones could be a baking zone, a breakfast zone, a tech and charging area, even a pet zone. You get the idea. Overlapping kitchen zones, good and bad. While the concept of kitchen zones is designed to streamline your kitchen's functionality and organisation, it's important to recognise that certain zones may overlap with one another. In some cases, these overlaps can be beneficial, while in others, they can cause some inefficiencies. So it's important to take a step back and look at how these zones are interacting with one another. Try not to get completely blinkered and focus in on each zone separately in sort of isolation. So for instance, a good overlap might be your preparation and cooking zones. Your preparation and cooking zones often overlap, as many tasks such as chopping vegetables are performed close to your stove. This overlap can be advantageous as it reduces the distance you need to travel between the two zones. However, you can get what I call bad overlapping kitchen zones. An example would be your cooking and cleaning zones sharing the same limited countertop space. You may struggle to find enough space to perform both tasks simultaneously if there's 2 of you working in the kitchen at the same time. And another one could be your consumable and cooking zone. If someone wants something from the fridge and have to walk through the cooking zone or be in the cooking zone to access it, this interferes with the workflow in the kitchen. It's poor functionality and it will drive you mad. Also, bad overlapping kitchen zones don't have to be the whole zone. It could be one element of a zone that's escaped and is really in the wrong area. A classic culprit for this is your bin. If it's not in the cleaning zone or a sensible spot nearby and it's the other end of the kitchen, that's going to create a lot more walking back and forth. Or again, if it means you need to walk through the cooking zone to get there every time, this can disrupt the flow. Tips for planning your kitchen zones. So now we've got a better understanding of kitchen zones, here are some quick tips to help you plan your perfect kitchen. Take measurements and create a floor plan. Sounds obvious, but this should really be one of the first starting points to get you thinking and looking at your space and potential kitchen layout. Create a floor plan, draw to scale if you can, to help you visualize the space and plan your zones effectively. You can watch me do this in one of my YouTube videos, which I'll leave a link to. Factor in appliances. Think about what you want in your kitchen appliance-wise, then consider the size and location of these appliances. I always think if your kitchen is a jigsaw puzzle, your appliances are the edge pieces. We need to know these and get these figured out in order to be able to fill in the rest of the space accordingly. Consider ergonomics and workflow. So once you've got a basic plan, take a step back and look at the room and layout as a whole and how each area and zone works with one another. Plan your kitchen zones based on your workflow to make the most of the space. Consider which tasks you perform most often and how you can arrange the zones to increase efficiency. Efficient storage solutions. So once you've got these zones dialed in a bit more, you can then optimize them further by thinking about the type of cabinets you use or storage solutions inside of them. Use pull-out shelves, corner storage mechanisms, or drawer dividers to keep your items organized and easy to access. Think about what's going to be the best type of storage or cabinet for each element in each of these zones. And lastly, less of a tip, but something to keep in mind, is you'll need to maintain this organization over time. It's one thing to design an optimized and organized kitchen, but keeping it that way is an ongoing process. Make a habit of putting items back in the designated zones and decluttering regularly. But saying this, if you have a well-optimized kitchen, it should make this task a lot easier. So what do you think? Are you a fan of the kitchen zone concept, or is it overkill, or is there any other way that you like to design your kitchen? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.